Listen carefully. Something is controlling you. Something invisible, quiet, insidious. You don't see it, you don't feel it, but it's there, living in you, feeding off you, manipulating every decision you make without you even noticing. And the worst part? You gave it permission. It's a parasite, a sticky shadow that hides behind every excuse, every "I'll do it later," every "now's not the time." It doesn't come as a threat, it comes disguised as a friend. It whispers comfort, tells you to rest, to wait, that you've got plenty of time, and you believe it. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. It's stealing your life. Every minute that passes under its influence is a minute lost, a step further from the person you were meant to become. And worse, it convinces you it's not your fault, that you're just not the type, not the disciplined one, not the motivated one. But that's the biggest lie you've ever bought. The same lie that keeps millions trapped in mediocrity, repeating the same days over and over, waiting for life to change without doing anything to change it. And you, if you're still here listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got dreams, big ones, ideas that could rewrite the story of your life. You know you could be more, do more. But something always holds you back. Something you can't quite name. Something you can't quite fight. But it's there, turning every opportunity into doubt, every challenge into an excuse. Now tell me honestly, how many times have you felt that knot in your stomach? That ache that says time is slipping and you're doing nothing with it? How many times have you sworn tomorrow will be different, only to repeat the exact same cycle? How many times have you blamed yourself? Maybe I'm just not built for this. Maybe I'm not good enough, strong enough, capable enough. But let me tell you the truth. It was never about strength, never about talent. It was always about control. And it's time to take it back. The real problem is this. Your mind has trained you to avoid discomfort, to protect you from effort. And without realizing it, you've been falling into that trap over and over again. But here's the twist. You can escape it. You can break the cycle. You can silence the shadow and start moving again. But it won't be easy. Your own brain will fight you. It will resist. It will whisper that it's too hard, too late, not worth it. But if you're still here, still listening, then some part of you already knows the truth. You are not doomed to stay stuck. There is a way out. You want to know how. Keep listening, because this is where everything starts to shift. It doesn't matter how long you've been paralyzed. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed before. It doesn't matter if laziness feels like it's in control of your entire life right now. Today, we break that pattern. Today, we wake up the part of you that's been asleep. But listen closely. This is where most people get it wrong. They think they need a huge burst of motivation to change. They wake up one day, full of energy, and they make a giant plan. I'll change everything, they say. I'll start now. No more excuses. And they dive in hard. They work out for 2 hours. They read 3 books in a week. They set their alarm for 5 a.m. and pretend they've become someone new. But in a few days, they burn out. They crash. They feel overwhelmed and fall right back into the same old habits. Why? Because they were fighting against their own nature. They didn't understand how the human brain actually works. And that misunderstanding is the reason they keep losing. Your brain was not built for ambition. It was built for survival. Its job is to keep you alive, not to make you exceptional. And that job comes with rules. One of them is this: avoid unnecessary energy expenditure. Change feels like a threat, not because it's bad, but because it's unfamiliar. And the moment your brain detects unfamiliar stress, it activates its defense system. That defense has a name: laziness. Laziness isn't your enemy, it's your brain's shield, a default setting designed to keep you in the familiar, in the predictable, in the safe. But you can override that setting, and the way to do it isn't through force, it's through strategy, through design. This is where the first rule comes in. Make it small. That's right, ridiculously small. So small your brain won't even know to resist it. Most people fail because they think too big, too soon. They say, "I'll change my life today. I'll work out every day for an hour. I'll write a book this month." And it sounds noble. It sounds brave. But it's a trap, because the brain hears that and panics. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels threatening. And so, it pushes back. It tells you to wait, to rest, to plan more instead of acting. So here's the shift. Stop trying to move mountains. Move a pebble. Write one sentence a day. Do one push-up. Read one page. That's it. Just one. So small, so laughably easy, that you can't say no to it. That's how you trick the system. Because once you start, something amazing happens. Momentum kicks in. One sentence becomes a paragraph. One push-up becomes 10. One page becomes a chapter. The resistance you felt begins to dissolve. Not because you beat it down, but because you didn't wake it up in the first place. You went under the radar. It's not about force. It's about flow. You don't need to crush your laziness. You just need to outsmart it. And that starts with tiny, consistent, low-resistance actions. Every great achievement you admire, every artist, athlete, thinker, they didn't start with massive moves. They started with steps so small they seemed invisible. But they showed up, day after day, pebble by pebble, until one day there was no mountain left to climb, because they had built it beneath their feet. Tiny actions build massive change, but small isn't enough if it doesn't stick. That's where most people fall again. They start small, but they don't stay consistent. They ride a wave of motivation, but once it fades, they crash. Back into the cycle. So here comes the second rule. Make it automatic. Not exciting, not dramatic, just automatic. Like brushing your teeth, like locking the door. You don't think about it, you just do it. That's the level you want. Because every day you decide whether to do something, you're wasting energy. And the brain will always default to the easiest answer. No. That's why routines are your secret weapon. They remove the question mark. They eliminate the internal debate. They make action your default. Want to work out? Set your clothes out the night before. Want to read? Leave your book on your pillow. Want to write? Block a sacred time on your calendar. The easier it is to start, the harder it is to stop. The fewer choices you give yourself, the more powerful your momentum becomes. Your willpower is a battery. It runs out. But habits? They don't ask. They don't wait for permission. They just repeat. So don't build a life on inspiration. Build it on systems. Build it on repetition. On decisions made once and never questioned again. Because success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. It's not about heroic effort. It's about what you do when no one's watching. One small habit, done daily, beats a burst of passion followed by a crash. The world is full of people who started strong and disappeared. Be different. Be automatic. Be inevitable. Think about it. Do you debate brushing your teeth in the morning? Number, you just do it. No motivation required. That's the level of simplicity your routines need. Not complex, not heroic, just effortless to begin. Because the harder something is to start, the easier it is to quit. And most people fail not because they're weak, but because their systems are broken. The perfect routine isn't the one that pushes your limits. It's the one that removes friction, that makes action smoother than inaction. Want to move your body? Don't wait to feel like it. Design your day so movement is baked in, so skipping it feels unnatural. Set the scene, create cues, leave no gaps between intention and execution. Make it harder to break your promise than to keep it. Because when every little step is effortless, the path becomes automatic. And once something is automatic, it becomes part of who you are. That's the real goal. Not to do things temporarily, but to become the kind of person who doesn't need to try, who just acts. And the truth is, your current identity was built the same way, through patterns repeated, through choices you once made and never questioned again. So if you want to change who you are, don't focus on who you wish to be. Focus on what you do without thinking. That's where your power lives. It becomes part of you, a silent rhythm woven into your day, something you no longer need to fight for. So ask yourself, how many daily decisions could you eliminate? How much energy are you wasting debating whether to act or not? Because every choice is a crack where doubt seeps in. Remove the choice, and you remove the resistance. That's how you win. But what about the hard days? The ones where even the simplest tasks feel unbearable. When motivation is buried, and your body feels like stone. That's when most people give up. Not because they're lazy, but because they don't know how to move through heaviness without force. This is where the third rule enters. The one that shatters inaction at its root. The one so small, so sneaky, that your brain can't fight it. The 2-minute rule. A quiet revolution disguised as simplicity. And if you understand it, you'll never be stuck again. Because the hardest part of any action isn't the doing, it's the beginning. The first breath, the first step, the first moment of movement. Once you're in motion, the energy builds. But getting there, that's where the war is fought, and that's where most lose. So how do you win? Shrink the battle. Don't try to conquer the mountain. Just take the next step. Just do 2 minutes. Not a full workout, 2 minutes of stretching. Not a chapter. 2 minutes of reading. Not a masterpiece. 2 minutes of writing. You bypass the brain's alarm system. You slip under the radar. You move before the excuses show up. And most of the time, 2 minutes turns into 5. 10. A full flow state. All because you tricked the gatekeeper inside your head. Why does it work? Because 2 minutes don't awaken the dragon. They feel too light, too harmless to resist. And so, you begin. And once you begin, the battlefield shifts. You've already won. Because movement breeds momentum. Stillness breeds doubt. That's the trick no one teaches you. It's not about motivation. It's not about willpower. It's about lowering the barrier to entry so much that you can't say no. And even if one day all you do is those 2 minutes, you've still won. Because you kept the identity alive. You kept the fire from dying out. And slowly, your brain rewires itself. You stop thinking. You just do. You become someone who acts, not waits. Someone who builds, even in silence. Someone who no longer surrenders to excuses dressed as logic. And the truth is, that's all greatness ever was. 1,000 quiet decisions. 1,000 unnoticed movements. Until one day the world sees what you've become. But you won't be surprised. You'll look in the mirror and say, I've been building this every single day. So here's the truth you must carry from now on. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do something. Every day. Small, relentless, honest. You become someone who, step by step, rewrites their own fate. Every small action, every tiny commitment, every 2 minutes invested in progress builds the foundation of a new life. And one day, without a dramatic moment, you realize you've changed. Not all at once, but deeply, irreversibly. You've become someone new. Because this was never about talent, never about luck. It was always about movement, about not freezing when your mind begged you to stop. That's the real difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck. Not strength, not intelligence, but the ability to move, even when nothing in them wants to. So now you're standing at the edge. The familiar whispers, "Wait a little longer." But you've heard that voice before. It always leads you back to the same place, the same hesitation, the same regret, the same cycle of almosts and maybes that eats your time like acid. But today, you know better. And knowing comes with responsibility. You can't unsee this truth. You can't pretend you don't understand what's at stake. Because the longer you wait, the further you drift from who you were meant to become. And someone else, someone who doesn't hesitate, is claiming the space you abandoned. That's the truth. While you delay, someone else is building. While you doubt, someone else is acting. While you wait for perfect, they move through imperfect. And that's why the next move is everything. Not the big one, the next one. The small, unglamorous, immediate choice to act, despite the fear, despite the fatigue. You're no longer a prisoner of inaction. Unless you choose to be. Unless you let this moment pass and tell yourself it wasn't real. But it is. And now you decide. You didn't come this far by accident. You're still here because something inside you knows. This message wasn't just another video. It was a mirror, a confrontation, a call. And you've heard it clearly. You're done pretending not to know. Done delaying. Done hiding behind the comfortable illusion of maybe tomorrow. Because here's the truth. Every second you hesitate, the life you want slips a little further away. Not because it's impossible, but because you're letting fear make decisions for you. While you sit still, someone else is moving, someone else is putting in the work, someone else is living the life you keep postponing. And no one is coming to rescue you from that. The world will not pause for your convenience. Time does not care about your excuses. And that dream you've been holding on to? It's dying slowly every day you refuse to act. So I'll ask you, clearly, with no filter, will you keep being a spectator in your own story? Or are you finally ready to step into authorship, fully, fiercely, unapologetically? Don't look for the perfect plan. Don't wait for the right mood. Don't expect motivation to knock on your door. That's not how this works. Transformation starts in silence, in discomfort, in the unglamorous decision to act, even if it's clumsy, small, uncertain. It starts now. If something in you is awake, if even one part of you is done with waiting, then prove it. Drop this phrase in the comments below. I move even when I'm not ready. Write it not for me, but for yourself, as a line in the sand, as a declaration that from this moment forward, hesitation will no longer define you. And if you want to keep walking this path, if you want more messages like this, deeper, sharper, more honest than anything out there, then subscribe. Join this movement. Because here, we don't chase comfort. We hunt truth. We kill excuses. We build action into our identity. This is not for the masses. It's for the few who are ready to live awake. So take one breath, stand up, and do something, anything. Because this moment is real, and it may never come again. Now move, before your old self talks you out of it.